The order comes through the smoke. Not shouted. Not debated. Delivered calmly, as if the world is still normal. Surrender. It is late afternoon. Autumn, 1944. Somewhere in Europe, in a ruined village whose name will never matter again. The building around him is already half gone. The roof collapsed hours ago. The walls are black with soot and bullet scars. Outside, boots move in the rubble. Dozens of them. 90, maybe more. They have machine guns. Mortars. Plenty of ammunition. Inside, he has a rifle. A few rounds left. And men who are bleeding, shaking, waiting. The enemy officer steps forward. A white cloth is raised. The message is clear. Lay down your weapons. Walk out. Live. He looks at the doorway. At the light spilling in. At the shapes moving beyond it. He knows what surrender means. He has seen prisoners before. Hands raised. Eyes lowered. Some return. Many do not. Behind him, someone whispers his name. Someone younger. Someone who still believes orders lead to safety. The silence stretches. Seconds feel heavy. This is the moment the war has been pushing him toward. Not the battles. Not the marches. This. A choice that cannot be undone. He tightens his grip on the rifle. The barrel rises. And instead of stepping into the light, he pulls the trigger. Combat does not announce itself the way training promised. There is no whistle. No clear beginning. One moment, they are moving through a village street. The next, the air fractures. The first man falls without a sound. Hit before anyone understands what is happening. He shouts orders he barely hears himself give. Left. Cover. Down. The rules he memorized begin to bend under pressure. Bullets do not respect formations. Explosions do not care about rank. They push forward anyway. Days blur into movement and contact. Villages taken. Roads held. Positions abandoned hours after they are secured. Loss becomes routine. A corporal he trained with disappears during a night patrol. No body recovered. No answers given. A runner brings messages too late. An artillery strike lands short. A farmhouse becomes a grave. He begins to understand the quiet cost of command. Men look at him before moving. Wait for his signal. Trust his judgment. That trust becomes weight. During one engagement, they are ordered to hold a crossroads. No reinforcements. No clear reason. Enemy fire intensifies as night falls. A mortar round lands close enough to knock him off his feet. When he stands, his ears ring. His vision swims. A young soldier is screaming, clutching his leg. Blood darkens the dirt. He makes a decision without asking permission. Orders a withdrawal of the wounded to a safer position. Later, he is reprimanded. Not for the casualties. For the deviation. The message is clear. Follow orders. Even when they do not fit the ground beneath your boots. He adjusts. He becomes more precise. More controlled. But control does not stop the war from closing in. Supplies thin. Ammunition is counted carefully. Sleep comes in fragments. Another engagement. Another village. This time, they are surrounded longer than expected. Radio contact is intermittent. Maps do not match the terrain. An officer above him is killed by a sniper while speaking. The body slumps without ceremony. Command falls to him in the middle of the street. He does not hesitate. There is no time. He organizes defenses. Assigns firing arcs. Moves men into cover. They hold for hours. When relief finally arrives, it feels accidental. Unplanned. Afterward, he notices his hands shaking again. Not from fear. From exhaustion. The men are quieter now. Jokes disappear. Eyes harden. He stops thinking about winning. He starts thinking about survival. About getting through the next hour. And then the orders change. Retreat becomes impossible. Withdrawal routes close. They are pushed back into a village already destroyed once before. Buildings collapse under shelling. Smoke thickens the air. By the time the enemy surrounds them, resistance is scattered and uneven. A messenger arrives, breathless. Outnumbered. Low ammunition. No support coming. The suggestion is not spoken aloud, but it hangs in the air. Surrender. He considers the men around him. Some wounded. Some barely standing. The rules say one thing. The situation says another. He asks himself a question he has avoided since the beginning of the war. What happens when obedience no longer protects anyone? Outside, enemy voices call out. Clear. Confident. A white cloth appears. The order comes through. Surrender. And now, everything he has learned points toward a single, irreversible moment. The war does not arrive all at once. It begins with paperwork. With lines. With names read aloud in rooms that smell of ink and dust. When his name is called, there is no drama. No protest. Just a step forward. Training strips away the last traces of civilian life. Hair cut short. Voices lowered. Movements repeated until they no longer feel chosen. Days blur together. March. Stop. Turn. Fire. At first, his hands shake when he loads the rifle. Not from fear. From awareness. This object is different. It changes things. The instructors speak of discipline, not courage. Of obedience, not survival. Mistakes are corrected sharply. Hesitation is punished more than failure. He learns quickly. He learns how not to be noticed. How to move when told. How to stand still when nothing makes sense. At night, men talk quietly in their bunks. About home. About girlfriends. About how long the war might last. He listens more than he speaks. Inside, doubt moves slowly. Not loud enough to disobey. Just enough to be felt. When the train finally comes, it does not feel like departure. It feels like transition. Windows show fields sliding past. Stations filled with faces that do not wave for long. Someone jokes. Someone prays. Someone stares at the floor. He watches his reflection in the glass. The uniform fits now. The posture feels natural. But he knows something important. He is not brave. Not yet. He is simply following instructions in the order they arrive. And for now, that feels enough. The war has not tested him yet. It is still teaching him how to obey. That lesson will not last. That he did not grow up wanting to be a soldier. He grew up in a place where order mattered. Where mornings followed routines. Where rules were not questioned because rules kept things standing. His father believed in structure. Not loudly. Not proudly. But completely. Work was done on time. Words were chosen carefully. Disobedience was not punished with anger, but with silence. That silence stayed with him. As a boy, he learned early that choices had consequences. Small ones, at first. Missed chores. Broken promises. Moments where hesitation brought disappointment instead of forgiveness. He learned to decide quickly. And live with it. There was nothing heroic in his youth. No stories of daring. No dreams of glory. Just a belief that doing what was expected kept chaos away. When uniforms began to appear more often in the streets, he noticed how people reacted to them. Some with fear, some with relief. He noticed how order could arrive wearing boots and carrying rifles. By the time the war reached his town, the idea of refusal already felt dangerous. Not because of punishment, but because refusing meant stepping into uncertainty. He chose the path that felt solid, predictable, structured. The army promised clarity. Ranks, commands, right and wrong divided by simple lines. Follow orders. Stay alive. At least, that is what he believed then. He learned quickly how to stand straight, how to listen without speaking, how to carry responsibility without asking why it had been given to him. Promotion came not from brilliance, but reliability. From doing exactly what was required. No more. No less. Men trusted him because he was steady. Because he did not hesitate. But steadiness has a cost. Because when rules become anchors, breaking them feels like drowning. And somewhere deep inside him, long before the village, long before the order to surrender, a quiet fear took root. Not fear of death. Fear of choosing wrong when there is no rule left to follow. Years later, no record will fully explain what happened in that village. There will be reports, numbers, timelines. They will say the position was lost, or briefly contested, or strategically irrelevant. None of that captures the moment. Because the war did not ask him to be brave. It asked him to choose. Between obedience and instinct. Between a rule and a feeling he could not prove. History often rewards outcomes. Victories. Defeats. But wars are decided by seconds where outcomes are still invisible. In that doorway, there was no future he could see clearly. Only paths closing, one by one. He did not know who would live, who would die, or how the story would be told. He only knew that surrender would end his ability to decide. So he acted. Not as a symbol. Not as a hero. Not as a warning. As a human being under pressure no training could fully prepare him for. The war moved on without him. As it always does. But the question remains, long after the shooting stops. When orders promise survival, but certainty disappears. When obedience no longer feels like safety. What would you have done? The war ends without ceremony. No music marks the moment for him. No flags. No crowds. It ends on a calendar page, somewhere far away. By the time he returns home, the uniform no longer fits the world around him. People walk faster than he expects. Voices sound too loud. Buildings stand where ruins once were. Others remain empty, their windows like open eyes. He finds work that requires his hands more than his words. Something repetitive. Predictable. No one asks what he did. And he does not offer it. At night, sleep comes late. When it comes at all. He wakes to imagine sounds. Boots on stone. A voice calling out orders. Sometimes he reaches for a weapon that is no longer there. He does not speak of the village. Not to friends. Not to family. There is no language for that kind of moment. Years pass quietly. He marries. He eats dinner at the same table. He learns the rhythms of ordinary life. People who know him describe him as reserved. Reliable. Calm. They are not wrong. But calm is not peace. The decision stays with him, unchanged by time. Not as regret. Not as pride. As weight. He learns to carry it the way he learned everything else. Without complaint. Without explanation. Occasionally, a newspaper article mentions the war. A date. A statistic. He does not read past the headline. Because he knows the distance between those words and what it felt like to stand in a doorway with a rifle. The war is over. But the moment never ends, the firing stops unevenly. Not with silence. With distance. Smoke drifts through broken streets. Ash settles on bodies that no longer move. Those who survive do not cheer. They do not speak. They wait. He is found slumped against the wall, weaponless. His hearing rings. His vision blurs at the edges. Hands pull him forward. Rough. Efficient. Around him, the cost is counted quickly. Some of his men are dead where they stood. Others breathe shallowly, staring at nothing. A few are still alive, but changed. The enemy does not celebrate either. They step carefully around the wreckage. Professional. Detached. The white cloth lies trampled in the dirt. He is searched. Disarmed again, though there is nothing left to take. As he is led away, he looks back once. The village is no longer a place. It is debris. Stone and smoke and blood. No victory is declared. No judgment is spoken. Only consequences remain. Later, he will learn how many did not survive. How many minutes the fight actually lasted. But now, time moves slowly. Each step forward feels heavier than the last. The decision is over. The cost has been paid. And nothing about it feels finished. The village is silent now. Not peaceful. Empty. Smoke hangs low, pressing against the ruins. Dust settles slowly, like it is unsure where to land. He hears the order again. Clear. Measured. Surrender. The white cloth moves slightly in the wind. His men look at him. No one speaks. He counts without meaning to. A few rifles. Almost no ammunition. He knows the numbers outside. Too many. Far too many. Time stretches. A second passes. Then another. If he raises his hand now, the shooting stops. At least for a moment. He imagines them stepping out. Hands up. Weapons dropped. He imagines the relief on their faces. The fear hiding behind it. He imagines what comes next. The image does not settle. His mouth is dry. His shoulders feel heavy. Another voice calls out, louder this time. Impatient. He looks down at his rifle. The wood is chipped. The metal warm. This weapon has followed him through months of retreat and advance. Through villages that no longer exist. He thinks of every order he followed without question. Every time obedience seemed like safety. This is different. Here, obedience feels like an ending he cannot see past. He looks at the doorway again. Light spills in. Too bright. He hears movement outside. Boots adjusting positions. A machine gun being set. They are ready. He realizes something quietly. If he surrenders, the story ends for him now. And whatever follows will not be his decision. If he fires, it will be his. He lifts the rifle. Someone behind him inhales sharply. No one stops him. The barrel aligns with the doorway. For a fraction of a second, nothing exists except the front sight. Then he pulls the trigger. The shot cracks through the silence. Immediate. Final. Shouting erupts outside. Orders overlap. Weapons respond. He fires again. And again. The village explodes into noise. Bullets tear into stone. Wood splinters. Glass disappears. Men drop to the ground, scrambling for cover. He moves without thinking now. Reload. Fire. Shift position. A grenade lands nearby. He turns away as it detonates. The shockwave slams into him. Dirt fills the air. Someone screams. He does not look back. There is no plan anymore. Only motion. The enemy pushes in from both sides. Too close. He fires until the rifle clicks empty. Reaches for another weapon. Hands him a pistol. He takes it. Shots echo in confined spaces. Deafening. He sees one of his men fall. Another crawl. Another stop moving entirely. Time fractures into moments. A doorway. A shadow. A muzzle flash. His pistol jerks with each shot. Then it is empty too. He throws it aside. The noise fades, not all at once, but unevenly. Like a storm passing. He finds himself pressed against a wall. Breathing hard. Smoke burns his lungs. Outside, footsteps approach carefully now. Cautious. Professional. He knows what that means. The decision has already taken its full shape. He did not surrender. And nothing can take that back.